Welcome back to Night City, Edgerunners, and today you're in for a treat because our video is one of the greatest game supplements ever written, not just for Cyberpunk, but for all of RPG history. Today is the Night City Sourcebook, the book that people will tell you almost without exception what book you should get next after buying the main Cyberpunk book, and every one of them isn't lying to you. This book is that good. Sit back and jack in, because today we're going to look at the city itself. I'm Mr. Welch, and let's check out the Night City Sourcebook. First, I'll get the boring fundamentals out of the way. The book was released in 1991, and it's the largest book in the Cyberpunk line among the supplements at a healthy 184 pages. There was a lot of authors involved in this one for reasons that will become apparent, but of course Mike Pondsmith is the first name on the list. Matt Anacleto, forgive me if I got that name wrong, did the iconic cover, and the interior art was done by Nacho Hernandez, among others. This was pretty much an all-hands-on-deck production with the number of people involved. Now I know what you're asking, or at least what the people that don't own a copy right now are asking. Why is this book so good? It's a city source book covering the core setting of Cyberpunk 2020, just like a host of countless other source books and other settings that pale in comparison. What makes Night City special is how it's written. Everything in the book links to everything else. It makes finding things in the book insanely easy. The book gives you gang territory, security details, transit times, data terminal locations, important maps of each district, maps of important buildings in those districts, popular channels with television and radio, local laws, childcare costs, basic history, socioeconomic traits, and that's just all in the first 50 pages. This book is that packed with details. The rest of the book is just as filled up as the first third. It breaks down the city sectors piece by piece, with each sector getting a large amount of information detailing it. Almost every single building is found in this book. The Arasaka headquarters is there. The best Italian place in Little Italy is on page 59. If you want to buy flowers for your new sweethearts to make up for the fact that she caught you with your old sweetheart, check out Rose, Dahlia, and Flora's in Old Downtown on page 122. The content is exhaustive, and while there's a bit of compilation at the beginning of the book, it can't even begin to cover all the shops, restaurants, and government buildings contained within. You're going to spend hours reading this book and still find something new every single read-through. Wasn't kidding about Rose, Dahlia, and Flora's, though. I've seen entire campaigns get started over that florist shop, because nothing says cyberpunk like getting a custom-made floral headband to brighten your spirits before you go in all guns blazing. Of all the places I want carried over to Cyberpunk 2077, that's the one store. Almost every single building has its own built-in subplot. There's always a constant threat of boosters trying to shake down various stores. A lot of them are corporate shell companies, and you've always got the honest shopkeepers that are in trouble that need help. Each building has a security code to let you know how difficult it is to break into. Breaking into Systems Original requires nothing more than picking a lock or breaking in a door than dealing with the alarm system. Breaking into something like the Infocomp building is pretty much suicide if you try to brute strength it, and even sneaking in it's more likely to get a TPK. At the end of each section, there's a list of important NPCs for the party to encounter, thwart, or help. This is in addition to a list of contacts the parties can make friends with to score some quick info. There's an encounter chart to give you an idea of what normal life in that section is going to be like in a typical day. There's your typical gang encounters, occasional celebrity sightings, random boosters that provide a quick excuse for violence, or even jobs that open right up in front of the party's eyes. Throw in some maps of specific buildings in the area, and you've got a lot more information than you'll probably need. The layout of the book is brilliant. You can literally map out your path if you're trying to make it from one side of the city to the other. There was a map attached to the older books that Artal has offered up again on drive-thru, so players can plot their path through the city, and it gives you an idea of what they're going to encounter on the way. Driving through Maelstrom territory without a pause is a good way to have somebody interrupt you on your way to your job. Just a fair warning, the map that was offered up through Drive-Thru RPG is standard size, so if you print it out, it's just going to be on a single sheet of paper rather than a 4-page foldout that you got with the original book. The joy of Night City is that the book makes the city come alive. You don't just skip down to the gun store to buy some pistol off the rack. No, you head down to the Malorian Firearms for the best new piece right off the factory floor and hope you can pass the background check. Everything you can find in a modern city is mentioned somewhere in Night City. This gives the city life. The NPCs have a brief explanation of their personality and what to expect of their characters. If you want to siphon off some excess Euro bucks from the party after a big score, let them run wild in the upscale stores for a while and get them broke quickly. Say you want to pick up some booze late at night and you're not 21 yet, but you'll know to head over to Kitty Liquor on the Upper East Side, because it doesn't care who it sells to and it serves as neutral ground to the gangs, because they don't want to burn down the only liquor store that serves beer after midnight. It's hard to give this book a proper review because I don't want to spoil it. It's that awesome. I was going to give this a massive review and then realize, no, you guys need to discover this book on your own. There's going to be something for every single player somewhere in Night City. You're going to have to read through it to find something for each of your characters. There's plenty of jobs to be had in every single sector, from the completely legal to the bordering on war crimes. Each of the sector has its own flavor, from the obvious ones like Little Italy or Japantown. Then you've got the slums of Old Downtown and Upper Marina. Then the upscale New Harbor area. And of course there's the corporate center. So if you want to run a party of upper crust corps, they never have to get close to the dirtier parts. And if you're running a party of down-on-your-luck edge runners, they're not going to even get within sniffing distance of the high-class sectors. There's two regions that don't get anything more than a few pages in Night City. That's the suburbs, known as the Beaver Towns, and of course the legendary combat zone. The suburbs get a few paragraphs each compared to several pages for each sector inside the city itself. Aside from the dangerous port area of South Night City, the rest are corp-dominated housing projects for all their employees. The burbs aren't exactly exciting, and infiltrating them is going to be quite difficult for most runners because they stick out like Andre the Giant at a Tom Cruise look-alike contest. The combat zone, on the other hand, is rather truncated because it only gets 2 pages of charts because it's built up as a nebulous and always changing stretch of anarchy that is never the same place twice because of the constant battles that take place there. So instead of listing places and people, the combat zone is just a half a dozen charts to define it and 3 pages of maps with no buildings identified. I won't lie, the combat zone section is the weakest part of the entire book because they couldn't give us some iconic locations like the Forlorn Hope in the combat zone section for some reason. There has to be at least some places that remain a constant even in the zone. The book is a treasure if I haven't beaten you over the head with that enough. It's just so crammed with interesting locations and things to buy and do that you have an entire campaign and never have to leave the city once. It's an entire city for under 200 pages with a little space wasted. Every single page is something new the party is going to want to encounter. If you're starting Cyberpunk, this book is back in print, so get it now and I'll wait. Seriously. Drive faster. You will thank me after you finish reading it later. Now, I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on this channel, so I'm going to keep going until I've got all the books covered. Next week is Home of the Brave, the nationwide sourcebook. This gives you 1 week to read Night City and send letters to CD Projekt Red about what they need to keep in their Night City for 2077.